All right, we're back on the Galaxie again. We are about to change out the starter on this thing because the starter's trashed. I have something new that I'm going to do with the starter though. It is not going to be the original pull type starter that these cars use. They were big, they were heavy, and they got in the way of headers a lot of times. And talking to my friend John Vermeersch, he says those things really suck. So he sent us something that we're going to talk about in just a second. But first, after the break, we'll be pulling the old starter out of this bad boy. Restoration of a classic Ford is a journey of discovery. Let Autocrafters help you with yours. We offer quality parts for Falcon, Fairlane, F-Series, Galaxie, Maverick, and Pinto. Contact us today. Okay, so I've brought my tools out. I've got a hammer drill that I'm going to possibly use, an impact I should say, that I'm going to possibly use. I've got my 3/8 long handle because you want a long handle for this kind of stuff. An extension and a 1/2 inch socket, which is what the bolts on here should be. Now after 50 plus years, I mean this thing's as old as I am, it's 58 or 59, almost 59 for me. You may not be able to, use a 1/2 inch. It may be something different now. All right, I'm underneath the car. I went ahead and took the starter cable off on this one. It's actually fairly easy to get at with a combination wrench. You're not going to probably be able to get a socket on that. 1/2 inch bolts all the way around. I'm going to take these off. Take the bottom one and the side one off first. It'll make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to get these off of here. I've got it loosened enough now with the extension on the extension. So I've got like a 3-inch extension and 8-inch extension, and that's giving me enough room to be able to get the bolt loose. She's on the way. I think it's out. Yay. All right, we got the bolt out. I have never in my life taken one of these starters off of a car, so I don't know how easily or well this is going to come out of it. Ow! That was a thumb. Oh, that thing's heavy. That thing is real heavy. Whee! Almost nailed down the camera. All right, well, I'm going to pull out of here and we're going to talk about the difference between this starter and the one that we got from the auto parts store. All right, I got the two starters on the ground here in front of me. Basically, you can just see the difference. I'm not going to take them into that building and go through all that in there. Starter is on your left. It was originally in the car. Starter on the right is a newer style starter that you can get at pretty much any auto parts in the United States. Still, to this day, you can go down to your local auto parts store and order a starter for, I don't know, like a 1968 big block 390 or even a 360 Ford pickup truck and get that sucker right there over the counter the day you walk in. The other ones are available. You can get the old style starters. It's just a little bit more of a hassle to do so. This one was originally in the car. They had them in our area, but they were over in Augusta and they only had one. This one they had 3 or 4 in the area. So it tells you that there are a lot more available. Some small towns are going to be more likely to have this one, the newer starter, than they are the old one. So there you go. Now I'm going to go inside. I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to make this one work with this car, because the flywheel on this car is different than the flywheel that would be on a 68 Mustang or whatever later model big block 390 that you might have. Okay? Okay. All right, so now that we've removed the one from the 63 Galaxie, you're probably asking the question, why are you doing what you're doing right here on the table? There's a couple of good reasons for it. One, this sucker's available at most auto parts stores. We got this one at the local auto parts store. It was in stock at the store. The other one is not. Now that's not always the case. You will find those available, But the nice thing is you can get this one pretty much anywhere across the United States, and the change that you need to make to it is pretty easily done. The other thing I like about this is what most header systems for FE engines are set up for, is this newer style starter. This one is also lighter by about, oh, I don't know, 9 pounds. Let's just call it 9 pounds. Again, not a math guy. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, and it's more readily available. The thing that's not the same on these, though, is the tooth if you're running an early FE. The early FE, I think, is a 158 tooth flywheel, and the later ones are a little bit smaller or more numerical. I think it's like a 164. Don't quote me on that. If you know what the tooth count is, put it down in the comments below. We'll take a look at that and comment back to you. But the tooth size is a little different. You can look at this and compare this piece that we have here to the one that comes with the stock starter, and you'll notice that there is a difference in diameter and setup. So what you have to do is take this starter and mate it with this bendix. Now this one we got from the guys at Total Performance up in Michigan. John Vermeersch runs Total Performance, and John is a friend of mine from way back. He has a 1961 Starliner that I'm showing you a photo of right now because we have a couple of guys that really like Starliners. So there's your Starliner porn for the day. But John, with his Starliner, has these available on his site. You can pick one of these up and put it on this starter, and if something happens and this starter takes a dump on you, you can go buy another one at the store, bring a few tools along with you, change the bendix out, and bam, you're right back in business. All right, so I'm going to be taking this thing apart mildly in order to do the things we need to do. First thing I'm going to do is remove this band that holds this plate on here. This is the cover for some of the parts that control the bendix. Don't ask me to start naming parts because I don't remember what these are called. I am getting on in years. Taking that off. The reason you're taking that off is so that that can be removed. Now there's a pin here. Let's see if I can get it out without actually having to take everything apart. Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. I'm going to take my screw gun here, push the pin through. So that pin needs to come out so that I can access the bendix that's already on there. Now these bolts are through bolts. They go all the way to the front plate. So you see the front plate popping off. I'm going to leave those in there, but not all the way in there. All right, now this is a washer set that is on here. This will need to come off so that you can take that C-clip off. When you remove these, make sure you maintain them in the order that they were on here. There's 3 of them. Sometimes there may be more or less than that. I'm not a starter guy, so I'm not double sure. But whatever configuration yours has, you need to take them off in that configuration. So there's 3 here, and I'm going to set them aside over here. I'm going to try to take this off with a screwdriver or flat blade. I don't know if I'm going to have a whole lot of luck with that because it's probably just going to want to spin. We got lucky. It didn't sail out across the room. That's one part that you can lose if it sails out across the room. And that is just a C-clip. There is on this one. Now there is a ridge inside of here, and that ridge I believe faces toward the starter. I want to maintain that as well. And then simply, I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it a little bit better. This will drop out, and that will spin off of here. You take the other bendix and put it back on. Now you want to make sure that these 2 ears go onto there. And now that is ready to rock and roll. Going to put my pin back in because we're set to go now. Why it went back in easier, I don't know. So what I'm going to do now is I got a piece of leather, and I'm going to wrap this. I'm going to put this on here, and hold it in place a little bit. See if I can do it with my fingers. Wow. All right. Now, put your washer assembly back on it. Since this is a brand new one, I don't worry about putting any real grease on the splines for the bendix. It's already greased from the factory. There's grease down inside of this, and there's grease on the spline, so I'm okay with the way it is right now. So this sits on this piece right here on the arm, holds everything in play. This may be like dancing bears here for a second. That's on there. And there's tabs around the starter holding everything in play. Always hand thread your bolts. Do not try to go in and thread them with something like the impact I've got here. Spring makes this a little bit ticklish. See, that one was off just a tad hair. Put this back on. I'm going to use an extension. Make sure everything maintains position. I'm not liking the way the position on this is laying. There we go. Everything's tabbed in correctly. You'll see this right here. This is the tab I was talking about. You'll want to make sure that that lines up with the snout of this. And basically I'm just going to put everything back together now the way it needs to be, and talk to you about some other stuff here in just a second. All right, so that's done. Now I got a couple of little points I want to make to you that John talked to me about that are pretty important here. One thing is this: these ribs on the back side of some of these starters can cause a contact issue on the early bell housings like the ones we're working with. And John told me that you just need to be real careful. Do a dry fit first before you do anything else. Make sure all the washers that come out go back in, and you should be good to go. All right, so that's our starter. This is basically going to be good from anything 1958 to 1963, as I said at the very first part of the episode. It's just a nice way to update the starter to make it a little bit better for the things that we talked about already. So if you want to do it, that's the way to do it right there. We just showed you. Do me a favor also, though. Go and check out our Patreon account. At the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. You are also helping Andrew to make his wage, because I have let him know this before, we are not a governmental institution. We are not providing free money. Things have to be paid for. In order for him to be paid, Patreon is how he makes his money. We also use that money, though, to help kids in our local area learn how to operate cameras. If they want to learn how to edit, we'll teach them that kind of stuff too, to give them a viable skill that they can use in their local area, possibly as part of a film crew, possibly as somebody that works in the news media. We don't know, but it's a way for them to get introduced into what we do. So we're very excited to be able to do that for the local community around here. Also, subscribe to that channel. Please, we're at 90-some odd thousand at this point. We want to make that 100,000 mark here real soon. So the only way we can do that is with your help. Just go out and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notification. Please do that if you want to know what's going on a weekly basis here. That's the way to do it. And I really think that's it. I'm trying to shorten this up a little bit because it's getting longer and longer the more things I have to talk about. Be kind to each other. Love on each other. Treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you on down the road. Why am I making better progress on this car than I'm making on Logan's car? Is it because I'm just able to bolt parts on? And I don't have to worry about trying to get him out there to work on it? Who knows? The mysteries of time and space and Logan. Because, you know, he's got a girlfriend. Cute girlfriend, too. She's probably going to be his wife at some point. He's already starting to talk about that, which is kind of weird to me. But anyway, they're 17, 18. She's an older woman. She's 18. Why am I telling you this? Do you really want to know these kind of things about everybody? Andrew says no. You don't want to know. So, bye.